What do you do when you get a collection of photos and memorabilia from one branch of your family?
Hi, I'm Beth Saunders, family genealogist, archives associate, and avid scrapbooker. Today we're going to work on this collection from my Uncle Wayne and Aunt Faye. I've actually used this to teach several times, but it's about time I got it into my own family album. Now, this collection came to me in an old envelope, like a manila envelope, and the first thing I did was take it out of any old acidic envelopes, and I put it in this Power Simple sleeve. You may have heard me mention in my past videos that several of my uncles didn't have children. So I have inherited some of their photos and memorabilia. And my ultimate goal is to put some of these into my Saunders Family Heritage album. My grandparents had 8 children. My father was one of 8 siblings that lived to adulthood. And what I'd like to do is make a few pages about each one.
First thing you want to do with a family collection like this is to organize and preserve it. So as I mentioned, I put these in a Power Simple sleeve, which is not a permanent protection because light can get through this. But this is the kind of polypropylene that won't harm your pictures, and it was just a way to store them until I could do something better. So that I'm thinking that arrow is probably to my uncle. This is such a funny picture, 1930. And some of the kids, they are wearing ties. They are in their best clothes, and some are barefoot. And I remember my grandfather mentioning short pants when you got old enough to wear long pants. Anyhow, that's pretty interesting. There's a lot going on in that picture. And then, of course, this is much later in life. This is my aunt, probably at a class reunion. There's another copy of that picture. I remember these in maybe the 70s or so, where you would get a big picture and a little picture, and you would cut them apart and give the little picture to your friends. So that's my aunt with her little doggy. Well, I won't talk about all of these, but just kind of give them some categories. I recognize that is my cousin. There are some of these pictures in here that people sent them. You can tell these are kind of from the same era. A lot of these are people I don't know. Now, what do you do with pictures of people you don't know? Oh, look, that's got a date. That's really nice. So I'll put it in the 80s pile. But I'm guessing that, well, my aunt and uncle had a lot of friends. They were very close with their neighbors. And he was a ham radio operator. So although this fellow looks vaguely familiar, he could be somebody in the family. But some of the ones that I don't know could be people that they met through the radio that sent pictures to them. So I'm just going to kind of put them together. Oh, that's a nice, I say recent, but it's probably from the 80s or so, picture of my uncle. Okay, but just pile these here. And school pictures, pictures of friends. That is an older picture. Let's see if it has a name. No. That's a shame because I don't know who that is. That's my cousin. And then there's a person on the radio. So that's partly where I got this idea that they were, long distance friends, maybe like pen pals. There's another one. Okay. I think those are all from basically the 80s, probably. Here's a really old picture. That is my uncle, looking pretty buff there. Huh. Oh, that is, well, somebody wrote his name a whole lot and the name of his first wife. So we'll put that in the older pictures. And this is a letter probably from World War II sent to his mom, and it is stamped by the censors. So it's like a small copy that they sent. That is just really cool. And some envelopes and some more letters. And I think these are World War II era. This is a negative of that large class picture that we looked at the beginning. And this is apparently a tag they tied to my uncle's toe when he was wounded in World War II. Saunders. That is just a really cool and unusual piece of memorabilia. And this is my Aunt Faye, the marriage announcement to her first husband. Now, newspapers, you see this has turned yellow, it's cracking. They really don't last. They have so much acid in them because newspapers are printed on the cheapest paper, and it has a lot of lignin, which is sort of a glue made from tree pulp. And what you want to do when you have newspaper articles that you really want to keep is to copy them. So I copied this on acid-free paper, and you could do it in black and white, but I copied it in color so that when I cut this out and put it in a scrapbook, it's acid-free, so it's going to last a long time, but it looks like an original newspaper newsprint because I copied it in color and it had that yellowed look. Again, you could do that in black and white if you want it to look a little newer, but my idea is that these are going to go into a scrapbook and that I want them to last. Obituaries, I haven't copied this one, but I do have some of their obituaries digitally. And there's a nice poem that his neighbors wrote for his funeral. And these are some larger pictures of people I don't know. So I guess I will just keep these in the archive, but I don't think I will include that in the family scrapbook unless I find out who they are.
So now I've got my aunt and uncle's pictures stored in a safe place, at least for now, if I keep this out of sunlight on my shelf. And I've kind of separated it or organized it by eras. But there are some big gaps, like from childhood to World War II to second marriage, or pictures with his second wife. I feel like I want to fill in more of their story. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to look for some more pictures. I believe that I have some in my dad's negatives probably. I'm going to do a little bit of genealogical research to see if I can find out when they got married and fill in a little bit more of their stories. So I hope you'll join me next time when we fill in some of those gaps. We'll see you then.